Hi, in today's tutorial we're going to work on creating a random number of matches and making them fall from the sky. So let's get started. Hi and thanks for watching. So before we get started on today's tutorial, I got a comment from a very avid commenter on my channel, Master Seif. Is that how you say your name, sir? Master Seif? Master Keef? Where are you from, mate? It's a pretty interesting name, that, so I'll be very interested to hear where you come from. But he's given me a big hand here and he's pointed out some of the things that were probably driving you mad in the previous tutorial I was doing. You only need rigid bodies on the things that you want to move. Setting something to kinematic will also not make it move, but you typically use that if you want to set sometimes and not move other times. So let's have a quick look at what he's saying there. Basically what he's saying is I never needed to put a rigid body on the table just to add a box collider. So let's just give this a go. A couple of things I did, by the way. I renamed the walls and I also saved my scene. Standard practice, right? So you must make sure you save your scene before you exit. So let's go back to our table and we will remove the rigid body. Let's see how this goes. So we'll remove component, and now if we run this, let's see what happens. Yeah, we're all good. Here you go, you see, so absolutely right, thank you for that. The other thing he pointed out is that you can also have two box colliders on the matchstick. So let's give that a go. I had a problem with this before when I was coding against it, but I think that if you're just using it as a collider, I don't think that's going to be a big problem. So with that said, let's do the following then. Let's get our box collider here and adjust the Y, bring that down, not that much. So let's try 0.2. Here we go. I'm going to start playing around with these values, aren't we? Is it the Z axis? No, not the Z. Control Z. It's the position on the Z, is it? No. Position on the Y, of course. There we go. So move that down. This is going to be a lot of faffage, isn't it? Let's just get that into front view. Like so. Oh. And then how it go into 2D mode. There we go. And we can actually... Can we tweak these with hiss? No, or can we? No, that adjusts the size of it. How do you adjust the... You might be able to adjust the scale. I don't think you can. So let's just adjust that to 0.18. Yeah, 0.19. There we go, and then we'll just move it up. Let's try 0. 0.01. No, so it's minus 0.02. Sorry about this, I should have done... Oh, you monkey. 0.01. Oh, gosh, 0.015. 0.0055. That's something like that, right? So that's one box collider. And what we'll then do is we'll add another component. We'll add... well, we could add a sphere collider, but for now let's just add another box collider. And let's get that, and we will very simply set the center up to the middle of the strike, match strike about there, and then we'll set the size on the Y all the way down, like, oh, not that much, so let's try 0.04, 0.05, 0.06, and then we'll just move it up a touch, look, 0.12, that's too much, 0.115, how's that? Let's change it back to 3D. Okay, now we can have a look. Okay, so that's pretty blooming close, isn't it? I can't see any reason why that shouldn't work as we expect. So let's give that another go here. Okay, it all looks good. It looks like it's behaving itself. Now, how that'll actually work in the full game is another matter. But thank you very, very much, sir, for your advice on that. That should make life a little bit easier and perhaps a touch more realistic when we come to do the coding. Okay. So we've got our table and we've got our matchsticks, and we've got some sort of logic. Now the next thing we want to be able to do is generate a random number of matchsticks that are going to fall on the table. Okay, so let's get a script started. Right, so we'll create a new folder under here, and we'll call it, where are you, baby? There we are, folder, and we'll have a folder called scripts. Click in there, and then we'll just create a new folder. What should we call this? Now we need to be thinking about how we're going to design this. So for now, I'm just going to create a script called matchstick generator or something like that. Create C# script. We'll call it random matchstick generator. There we go. Generator. Yes. Okay, I need to spell it right now because it's a pain to change it later. You're better off deleting and creating a new one. Random matchstick generator. So if we double click that, that'll take us into Mono Develop. So I'll give it a few seconds and I'll come back when that's loaded. Okay, here we are in that familiar Mono Develop. So let's have a little think about what we need to do here. What we need to do is we need to create a random number of where are we? Of these matchsticks. So what we'll do is look at that, typical, isn't it? There we go. Up here we will have a public game object. We'll call it matchstick. Okay, and that's the object that we'll drag it into. And then what we'll do is we'll create a random number. So let's just say min max here. Okay, public int min matches equals 5. Public int max matches equals 35. Okay, pure guesswork. Okay, at the minute, and we'll also need to import the random class. So 1 second. Okay, so in order for this to work, I think what I'm going to need to do is say something along the lines of system.random rand equals new. Actually, no, I won't do it there. I'll put that like that. Okay. The reason I'm doing system.random is because I think Unity has a random class as well, and I don't want that to overrun. I don't want to use that because I think that uses floats. Again, I'm sure Master will correct me on this one. So here I'll say rand equals new system.random, and I'll say rand dot. There we go. Next. That returns an integer. There we go. I think we can say, if we put that in brackets. Remind me, how do we do this? So let's just try. What does it return? 1 second, I'm having a quick look now. Where is it? 1 second, I'll find it. Here it is, excuse me. Okay, so we can put a value in there. Int max value, okay? Max value is less than 0. So the way we're going to have to do this is we're going to have to say something along the lines of next. Well, let's just go for max matches for now. Okay, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a moment. Okay, so that's the so we now just press Control S, and then we will say instantiate, and then we're going to say matchstick. Then we say I've forgotten how you do this. I've completely forgotten how to do this. I think next it's the location, so we'll just say new vector 3. I think it was something along the lines of 0, 1, 0. Let's just try that. So let's have a quick look in Unity and see what the position of this one is. Come on, matchstick is 0, 1, 0. There we go. Good stuff. Okay, we should apply this, by the way. Make sure that we're keeping everything in line. We'll also do that to the table. Just apply it so that the prefab gets updated. Alright, so we can actually delete. We won't delete it yet. We'll delete that matchstick here in a moment. Okay, and then we'll just say as well, just to keep it the same rotation and scale and all that stuff. I think you just do quaternion.identity. Alright, so now we're going to say int number matches equals like so, and then now we say for brackets int I equals 0. I is less than number of matches. I know that's not quite right yet. I plus plus, and I'm going to do a squiggly like that, like that. Okay, is that going to work? I might just put debug as well. Debug.log instantiating plus num matches plus quotes matches. Control S that. Okay, we're looking goodish, I think. Pretty comfortable with how that looks. Spin back to Unity. Any errors in the console? Well, we haven't got a console window open at the moment. Let's get one open. Window. Console at the very bottom. There we go. Just drag that into the scene view there. Okay, so you can see there's no errors. That's a very, very good start. So if we now, what we'll do as well is we'll create an empty object. So we'll just call this create a new empty, and we'll just call this, drag it out of Matchstick, and we'll call it Game Manager or something. Shall we? Game Manager, and then we'll drag our random matchstick generator in there, and you can see it's got a few variables now, and one of them is it needs this matchstick game object. So let's drag that in like so, and now we've done that, we can actually delete this matchstick. Okay, we haven't deleted it per se, we just deleted it from the scene. Okay, so we've got our min and max. I know that isn't working right now, so let's run this. Okay, absolutely nothing. So where's my? Let's just undo, minimize on play, and pause this. Click on console. It says unassigned reference. The variable matchstick generator has not been assigned. You probably need to assign the matchstick variable. Let's have a quick look then, shall we? What line is it? Instantiating 24 matches, it says. But we did make our matchstick. Why is it being a monkey? Now hold on. I think what it might have happened there is we need to go to our prefabs and pull the matchstick in here. Is that right? Oh, it has this. It's removed it. Was I playing or something? There we go. Let's try that again. Okay. There it is. Look at that. That's worked an absolute treat. Now, a couple of things have happened here. I suspect that that's gone rather well, hasn't it? I suspect that the random thing is always going to return the same position. I could be wrong. Oh, of course it won't, because there'll be different numbers of matches, won't there? But if there were the same number of matches, then it would be the same place. And I think the reason for that is because the random generator needs a seed. Let me just go and check on that. 1 second. Ignore me, I'm talking absolute nonsense, aren't I? Of course, the random number generator is actually generating different amounts. That you can see here, it's got 17. What I was actually thinking was the position is always going to be the same. So whenever there's 17 matches, they're always going to drop in the same place. Okay. The reason for that is because they're all kind of, if you like, they're all starting exactly the same position, which in theory shouldn't happen because they are effectively overlapping each other. But it looks as though Unity is smart enough, and it says, well, hang on, you can't be, and it kind of splits them up, which is great. But this is looking rather good so far. I'm very, very pleased with how this is looking. It'd be unlikely that anybody would notice the differences between these. But let's just do one more thing, just because I am that way inclined. I'm going to have a vector here, perhaps between 0 and 1, that's going to position on the x and z very, very slightly, but maybe even between 0 and 0.1, just so they're very, very slightly further apart. So let's just do this. We'll say float. I think the vector, by the way, this random.next returns a value between 0 and max matches minus 1. I think. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say float brackets xpos equals rand.next brackets 2. Okay, so it's going to be between 0 and 1. It's going to be 0 or 1. No. Let's do it between 100. Okay, and then we'll divide it by 100 f. I think that will work, and then we'll do the same for the zpos. Okay, in rand.next 100f, so we'll just do xpos and zpos now. This is completely unnecessary. Okay, but let's just see how it works. If this doesn't make any sense to you, don't do it. Well, it hasn't created any, which makes me think there's a bug somewhere. It's instantiating 0 matches. Okay, that's possibly a. Okay, so it's caused a slightly different issue. Look, you can see that it's positioned them all in different places, which is great. But because they're all dropping at the same thing, so can we change the random rotation as well? Can we just set a random rotation so it starts in a different position? Also, I'm not happy with how far away they are. They all seem to be over there. I'm not quite sure why that is. Oh, yes, I am. It's because I'm guessing 1 must be around here somewhere. But let's do a random rotation as well. So how do we do that? We're going to say this is this one here, isn't it? So can we just have quaternion.random generator? Let me have a quick look. 1 second. Well, here's the method. Should we give it a go? Random.rotation. We can certainly try it, can't we? So let's spin back into here, and we'll just say, let's just try it. Random.rotation returns a random rotation. Read only. Fine. Is that a... Yes, it is. Okay, let's just give that a go. If this works out of the box, we'll be happy, won't we? Click it. Guys, that's worked, hasn't it? Now, the only slight thing is, of course, I suspect some of them might actually fall on the floor if we're not careful. They're fairly spread out, but what we can do, just to keep them a little bit closer, is divide that by potentially. Let's divide it by 400. Okay. So it literally makes that a fraction of between 0 and 0.25, am I right? Those are the mathematicians among you will know the answer to that question. Come on. There we go. Okay, now I'm confident that every time we run this, it will create a pile. If it's the same number of matchsticks, they will appear slightly differently. This is what I'm hoping. It's hard to say exactly. In fact, what we could do to prove it is click on here. If we just go over to here and say number of matches equals 10, right? Let's just comment that out, and we'll just go over to here and run it. Let's have a look. Okay, you can see the shape there. So let's look at this guy here. Okay, let's run it again, and it's in a different place. Great. Okay, sorry I'm being pernickety, but I think that's key for me, is that it's different every time, and I think it looks good. I like the way it's dropped on there, and they've all fallen on each other like I'd hoped they would. The only other thing we need to fix at the moment is the fact that the max matches at the minute needs to be a couple of things. It needs to be max matches plus 1. Okay, and we need to find a way to say between 5 and 35. So the first thing we could do is we could say random not next. We could say max matches plus min matches. Okay, so that'll give us a value between 5 and 40, won't it? No, excuse me, it won't. It's plus. Now we say plus min matches there, don't we? Okay, so that'll give us a value between 5 and 40. Does that make sense? Because it's now going to add 5 to everything. So in here we'll need to say minus min matches. Now I think that's still going to give us a value between 5 and 34. But I could just say plus 1, couldn't I? I think that's right now. So there'll always be a minimum of 5, and because we're adding min matches here. And it should be between 35 because we're adding 1 to it there. That sounds right to me. I know it sounds confusing, but so let's check the console. 20. Keep going. 8. We'll just run this a few times. 31. We'll invariably see something. What we could do to make it really obvious is perhaps just make it between 5 and 7. Couldn't we? That should make it a bit clearer. Oh, hold on. No, we need to make it here now, don't we? Because we made it a public thing. This is one of my biggest bugbears of this thing, is that once you make it public, it's here that it counts, not inside the code anymore. Drives me bonkers. 7. That's good, isn't it? 7. 6. We ever going to see 5? 7. Okay, I'm looking top left here, by the way. 6. Still not seeing. I really would like to see 5. 7. 5. Guys, we've got it. We've nailed it. Can you see up there? 5 matches. Great. So it looks as though this logic is holding out. So we'll have between 5 and 35. That might be between 11 and 35. Okay, guys, that is the end of this video. Okay, we've done quite a lot here. We've created our random set of matches and we've made them drop onto the table. We've also done some cleanup thanks to Master Keith. You've helped us out, sir. How many matches is that? Oh, I changed it in the code. You remember we need to change it here. 10 and 35. What we can actually do is if you click on here and do reset, you'll see that it sets the values to 10 and 35. So now if we run that again, got to do it reset now. But look, it loses the matchstick. That's actually a little bit dangerous, isn't it? But at least it's got 11 and 35 there. I'll click on here. There we go. How many is that? 23 matches. Okay, it'll be tough to play this, but We will. So brilliant. Thanks for watching, guys. In the next video, we're going to start cracking on with some hardcore logic. Okay, we're going to look and see how this game works and how the computer effectively can probably always win unless you play a perfect match and get the lucky break first go. Alright, so thanks for watching, guys. I look forward to seeing you next time. Cheers now. Bye bye.